Y'all, the beauty berry jelly I told you I was gonna make turned out so good. I have to show you how to do it. I'm gonna make another batch. But if you see those beauty berries I was showing you in the woods, in the park, along the roadside, or in your backyard, pick them. They are not just good for the birds like I thought all my youth and childhood, but they are spectacular in this jelly. It's mild, light, fruity. It's a little bit citrusy. It's got a little bit of a spice to it. It's almost a little floral. It's very difficult to describe. You just must make it. It is so delightful. So come with me today and let me show you how to do it. Okay, I'm just gonna start by dumping all of these beauty berries onto a big baking sheet. Aren't those beautiful? So what I wanna do is just separate off all the little stems and leaves. Occasionally you might find a little spider in there. We're just gonna get all of that taken out. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are gonna strain this after we cook it and make the juice. It'll all go through a fine mesh strainer. I don't want to drown them because I want the juice to be as concentrated with flavor as possible. All right, I brought these to a boil and you'll notice they lose their color. They're not magenta anymore. So after 20 minutes, I scooped up a bunch of these little beauty berries and I put them in a sieve. And now I'm just gonna smush those to get them to pop open a little bit and release a little bit more of their juice. They're kind of a hard little berry. So I'm popping them all open, smushing them, and then I'm just gonna dump all that back in my liquid. And it's kind of an amber looking juice so far, but that's gonna change. I'm gonna just pour all of this cooked beauty berry mush into a fine sieve over a bowl. Now I want to get out a little bit more of the juice. I'm going to let this rest over the bowl and I'm going to press a little bit of the juice as I go. I do want this to be a super clear jelly. So I'm using a pristine 100% cotton bandana because I want something that's a little tighter weave than cheesecloth. You can use the juice just like it was, strained once, but I'm gonna strain it this second time because I want my jelly to be really, really clear. And I'm straining it into a measuring cup because you have to be very careful to do the right proportion of juice to sure gel, or your jelly won't gel. It looks like I have almost exactly 4 cups of my beautiful beauty berry juice. Now what I'm gonna do is put that back in my big pot on the stove. So the reason I put this in a really big pot is because we're gonna add sugar in an equal proportion to our juice and sure gel, and we're gonna bring this to a rolling boil, and we want it to be a deep enough pot that you don't have anything that bubbles over. So make it at least twice as deep as the juice you have in your vessel. Okay, on my stove, I've got my beauty berry juice, I've got my big canner. The water in it is already coming to a boil, so it's waiting for me, I'm not waiting for it. And my jar lids, we have to sterilize those, so those are in a little gentle simmer. So I made this before, according to several recipes I saw online for beauty berry jelly. Most of them said that to each 3 cups of juice that you've rendered from your berries, you'll add 4.5 cups of sugar. And that's what I did because that's what most of them said to do. I actually felt like that was a little bit too sweet for me. I think the sugar content overpowered the berry flavor just a little bit and just made it taste super, super sugary. And really what I want this time is more of the taste of the beauty berry to come out because it's so unique. It's really wonderful. So I had 4 cups of juice. I'm gonna do 4 cups of sugar. Now we set that aside. We measure it exactly. I'm gonna turn my heat on high under my beauty berry juice, and we're gonna add a package of Sure Gel to the liquid. Sugar is aside. We're not gonna do the sugar yet. So over a pretty good heat, we're gonna dissolve the Sure Gel and bring this juice up to a rolling boil. Look how pretty that color is. Isn't that beautiful? One of the first things I want to do is I just want to put in a little splash of lemon juice. That helps the pectin work. And then I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon, just a good pat of real butter to melt into this. Butter will help the foaming. Once you add the sugar and you bring this to such a rolling boil, almost all fruits will develop a white foam on the top. So this kind of helps cut down on that foam. We'll still have a little bit, but this will help. All right, gang. Here is our full rolling boil. It does not stop boiling when you stir it. That's the level we want the boil to be at, that you can't stir it down. It just keeps bubbling. We're gonna do that for 1 minute, and I'm about there. And now we're just gonna add all that sugar. And I add it a little bit gradually as I stir so that we can mix it all in. Now that's gonna knock down our boil because it's cooling off the temperature. So we get all that sugar poured in. And then we're gonna bring it back up to another full rolling boil that we can't stir down. And we will leave that for 2 minutes. Isn't that pretty? Y'all, that really is beautiful. I get so excited about stuff like this. The free bounty from God is such a good thing. Oh. All right, everybody, here is our second full rolling boil. This cannot be stirred down. This is our sugar, our Sure Gel, our juice, about a tablespoon of lemon juice, and a tablespoon of butter. We want this to boil for 2 minutes, no longer. And once you turn the heat off, the bubbles disappear. And you'll just want to watch. If you do have any little white foam that comes up to the top, you can just ladle that off. But actually looks like I'm not going to have hardly any on this batch. Okay, I'm bringing my jars over. These are hot, sterilized jars. I washed them in hot soapy water, and then I keep them in my oven while I'm making my jelly. We want hot liquid in hot jars. You don't ever want to put hot liquid in cold jars because they will potentially crack. So these are ready. I'm getting ready to ladle it all up. Here we go. You need a little funnel so that you don't make a sloppy mess. This fits right down inside your jar. We're just going to ladle until it comes up to the threads. In canning, that's called leaving a little head space. It's the amount of air between your food product and your lid. Now, when you finish filling your jars, it's easy to slop just a little bit sometimes. You want to take a pristine, clean cloth with very, very hot water on it and just wipe the tops of each jar just to make sure that there's no jelly or juice on there. Because even if you have just one spot of juice on there, it could prevent the lid from sealing perfectly, and then you have risk of botulism. Okay, now we're ready for our lids. Now Now for this, I take another pristine clean towel, pick up one hot lid, dry the water off, just tap it a little bit, and then put it on each of your jars. You have to be careful, sometimes you'll accidentally get two, they stick together. You'll need another towel because these jars are going to be hot. And you just want to do what's called a finger tighten. Put it on, but not real tight. And they'll be ready for a bath. Okay? Just finger tighten, not real tight. We want them to have room to expand because they're going in their little bath. All right, here we go. This is a jar grabber, and if you have one of those, it's great. If you don't, use a pair of tongs that have rubber, because then you can grab your jars and they won't slip out of the tongs. But this little canner grabber, I don't know really what it's called, but I call it a canner grabber. You can just put your jelly jars in. We want our water to be coming to a full rolling boil. So we're back up on high. Now if you don't have a canner like this, you can use just a big cooking pot, whatever you have at home. But just make sure that your jars are not sitting on the bottom of the pot near the heat source. Jars can crack. So you would need to put something in the bottom of your pot. And what I've even done before is just line the bottom of the pot with a bunch of extra jar lids, put those all over the bottom, and then put your jars on top of these. That works in a pinch. Okay, then we're going to lower it into the water. Down, down, down they go. Whoop. Okay, we're at a little boil. We put our lid on now, and we leave that alone for 10 minutes. Okay, our 10 minutes is up. Now we'll start hearing these little guys plink. That one just plinked. Whoop. Can you hear them? Plink. That's the lid's sealing. They've had a special indention in the lids of canning jars. So it's concave when the product is sealed. If you're ever at a festival or any kind of a little farmer's market where they're selling homemade goods, whoop, plank, there went another one. That's something good for you to know. You can check products. If you have someone who's selling homemade products, just look at the little jar that they're selling. See how this little lid, there's a little circle right in the middle? It's concave. If their food was not sealed properly, here's the difference. If their food was not sealed properly, I don't know if you can see this, it's convex. There's a little divot in the top that pops up. Here, I'll show you on a little jar I have over here. This is an unsealed jar. Right in the very center is a divot that pops up when it's not sealed and down when it is. And you can tell by pressing it. It'll click. So if they're selling food and you can press the center and hear it click, don't buy it. It might look good, but it's probably not worth the risk. So now that they're out, I'm gonna dry off the top of each one. Let them cool. And then we can go ahead and tighten these rings. Woo, hot. Now they've loosened quite a bit in the process, so now we can tighten them down. So now these will be safe to use for months and months, probably even a year. But definitely something that you can make now and share with people for Christmas.
And looky here, guys. Isn't this just the most beautiful color? I can't wait for you to make it. Please let me know if you do. I know you'll love it. Okay, now I don't know what you're thinking about yourself today, but you just remember you were made in God's image, and to Him, you're a little beauty berry too. So just rejoice in that. I love you. God bless. And don't forget, see the good, be the good.